curse was placed on Dudley and his family. The curse stated that all of the Dudley descendants would be surrounded by horror and death. The New York Times. The view from Dudleytown. According to the legends started by local residents in the 1920s, the demise of Dudleytown stemmed from the curse of the Dudley family, whose history followed them from England. Edmund's son John, the Duke of Northumberland, plotted to overthrow Edward VI by marrying his son, Lord Guilford Dudley, to Lady Jane Grey. After the king's death, she became queen for a short time before the plot failed. As a result, Lady Jane and both Dudleys were decapitated. In the meantime, Lord Guilford Dudley's brother, a military officer, returned to England from France, bringing the plague with him. The disease spread to his troops, killing most of them, as well as to thousands of English citizens. Another of Guilford's brothers, the Earl of Leicester, said to be a favorite of Elizabeth I, later left England for unexplained reasons. His descendant, William Dudley, was the first to come to Connecticut, settling in Guilford. 3 of his descendants moved to the Cornwall Hills in the middle of the 1700s. Now, I've heard reports stating that local historians cannot connect this line of Dudleys with the Dudleys that moved to Connecticut. This is an article from American Hauntings Inc.com, and it details some of the strange occurrences that happened in Dudleytown. 3 of the Dudleys moved out of the region and lived long, full lives, dying of natural causes and forever diminishing any possibility of a curse. Only Abel Dudley remained in town, and after a series of reverses lost his entire fortune and his mind. My fire alarm just beeped, and I have no idea why, because they all have new batteries. And also last night I saw a really weird shadow in the hallway. Alright, we are back, and we have changed the batteries. Abel died in 1799 at the age of 90, and when he was no longer able to pay his debts, the town took his property, sold it, and made him a ward of the town. Toward the end, Abel was Revolutionary War under George Washington. In 1804, his wife, Sarah Fay, was struck by lightning while standing on the front porch of their home near Dudleytown. She was killed instantly. The general went insane and died soon after. Many have dismissed this incident as not being connected, saying that he lived on Bald Mountain Road, but not exactly in Dudleytown. In an area that is sparsely populated, the records indicated 3 people have gone insane in the space of less than half a century. In 1901, when the population of Dudleytown had dwindled to almost nothing, one of the last residents of the town was a man named John Patrick Brophy. Tragedy visited swiftly and in several blows. First, his wife died of consumption. It says that there was nothing strange about her ailment because she had been suffering from it for years. This did not lessen his grief, however, because soon after he was further stricken when his 2 children vanished into the forest just a short time after the funeral. While this could have been voluntary because they had been accused of stealing sleigh blankets, they vanished and were never found. Shortly after, Brophy's house was burned to the ground in an unexplained fire, and not long after, Brophy himself vanished into the forest. He was never seen again. Around 1900, Dr. William Clark came to Cornwall and fell in love with the forest and the quiet country life. He was a leading cancer specialist in New York. He purchased 1,000 acres of land in Connecticut, which included Dudleytown, and began construction of a summer and vacation home here. Over the next number of years, he and his wife, Harriet Bank Clark, visited the house on weekends and during the summer until it was completed. After that, it became mostly a holiday house for short trips in the summer. They maintained an idyllic second life near Dudleytown until 1918. One weekend, Dr. Clark was called away to New York on an emergency. His wife stayed behind, and according to the story, he returned 36 hours later to find that she had gone insane. Just as a number of previous residents in the village had done, the story also claims that she told of strange creatures that came out of the forest and attacked her. It has been recorded that for several years before her, Mrs. Clark suffered from a chronic illness. There is nothing to indicate what this illness might have been, or whether it was physical or mental. I just saw a really bright flashing light in my right peripheral, all of the blinds are shut in here. Dr. Clark continued to maintain his house find the hollows, cellars, and foundations. This one is written by Stacy in 2009. Last year, my boyfriend and I went to Dudley Down in mid-November. We entered through Dark Entry Road, which didn't have a street sign, but we were able to figure it out through directions, pictures, and a good hunch. We noticed the sign, but of course ignored it anyway. As soon as we left the car, our phones lost service. We walked until we came across what looked like stone basements. I tried using my phone the entire walk, and sometimes it would ring 2 or 3 times and then go to a strange static. I thought nothing of it though. We were in the middle of the woods. The only scary thing we saw was a white-tailed deer. Birds were chirping. It seemed like any other hike in the woods. We couldn't leave well enough alone and both took a rock from as close to the foundations as we could get. A little disappointed, we made our way back to the car with our rocks. Once we actually sat in the car, service returned to our phones. We drove away with our rocks in tow, and after leaving Cornwall Center, we witnessed what I thought was a funny but strange accident involving vehicles in front of us, which could have easily included myself had I not been paying attention. I dropped him off at home, and he forgot his rock in my back seat. I put my rock on my front porch and went in to watch some TV. I tried to turn my volume down via remote, but it wouldn't work. I pounded the keys a few times, and suddenly the volume started lowering. But I wasn't touching the remote. It was stranger because the volume decreased in single increments. 10, 9, 8, down to mute. The problem with that is either manually or by remote, the volume only ever changed in increments of 2. I was freaked out enough that day that I threw the rock on my porch in the woods and forgot about it. It was easy to forget about too, seeing as though my car was breaking down daily, weekly if I was lucky. After cleaning it out, preparing for yet another trip to the shop, I found the rock. I gave it back to my boyfriend, and he put it under summer of '99, after the Blair Witch Project hit theaters, a few friends and I were playing with a video camera. Just being goofy, our conversation turned into Dudley Town, and I relayed all of the stories I'd heard. It turns out that our friend Sabrina's family owned a cabin in Dark Entry where she'd gone sister